excited? Yeah.
Woo.
Yes, definitely close. Welcome tonight to the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum for the contested races for the St. Charles Library Board and D303 School Board. I'm Kelly Rotello, and I'm representing the Voter Services Committee for the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County, and I live here in St. Charles. First off, thank you to the St. Charles Library for once again opening the doors for us and helping in our mission to educate the voters in this election. This forum is designed to focus specifically on the contested races. I would like to take a moment to clarify our empty chair policy, which ensures that we do not hold any forums in which only one candidate is in attendance. In the case of one candidate's participation, the candidate will have the opportunity to offer a brief introductory statement of up to 3 minutes. However, we are very fortunate that both contested races are represented here this evening, so we don't need to worry about those statements. The candidates who are present have graciously signed and agreed to the format and media policies established by the League of Women Voters, and we have proactively gathered questions in advance from our community and are also welcoming questions from tonight's audience. We have volunteers ready, so raise your hand, we will come get your question. These questions will be reviewed by our trained League members for clarity and relevance. While we may not be able to address every question during the time allotted, I encourage you to reach out directly to the candidates should your question go unasked. This evening's event is being live streamed and recorded by Andrew Van Meter and Jim Jakubowski from our local Batavia cable access television station, BATV. The recording will be shared on the websites of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County, BATV, and the Illinois Voter Guide. Additionally, we are fortunate to have the support of several AAUW members here tonight. Our moderator for tonight's forum is Jan Dorner from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. Now let's get started, and thank you, Moderator Dorner.
Okay, welcome to the candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. And as you heard, my name is Jan Dorner, and I'm from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community.
Oh, mic's off.
It's on now?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Providing this forum? Nope. Nope.
What happened? We just went out. It went out. Just scream. Yeah.
Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. At this time, I would ask that you please turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. I would also ask that you refrain from applauding or in other ways demonstrating support or opposition of a candidate. No candidate literature may be passed out in this room, and feel free to put on your campaign bling once you leave this room. Note cards and pencils have been provided on which to submit your questions. Questions will be screened only for duplication, clarity, and appropriateness to the office being discussed. Please submit questions for all candidates participating in the forum. Please signal a League volunteer when your question is ready for submission. Also, signal a volunteer if additional note cards are needed. Realize that we may not get to all questions. This forum is for those seeking to be a St. Charles Library Board member for a 6-year term. 4 candidates are running for 2 positions. All candidates running in the contested race were invited, and the candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. They will each present a 2-minute introductory statement, the order determined alphabetically by last name. Then questions will be asked and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond in alternating order. Closing statements in continuing alpha rotation will also be 2 minutes. LWV Central Kane County members will keep time and candidates will strictly adhere to the time limits. Candidates, please notice our timers here. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your sentence. Let's not make it a compound sentence. All right. So let's start with your 2-minute opening statement, and let's start with candidate Barbara Diepenbrock.
Okay, is this working well? All right, here we go. Hello, my name is Barbara Diepenbrock, and I am an enormous advocate and loving user of this library and all libraries. I've previously run for the D303 school board, but have shifted my focus as an extension of my love of our community and the adoration of the services we provide within the library to run for one of the open positions on the board. My family immigrated here from Croatia in the 70s, and I became the first American born in my family in Arlington Heights, Illinois. I started my family in Streamwood, Illinois with my loving husband of 16 years, just across the street from the Poplar Creek Library, which quickly became an extension of our home. We, my husband and 2 kiddos, joined this genuinely beautiful community in 2017. My kiddos are now almost 13 and 15, just in the blink of an eye. There's so much I would love to share about myself to have you understand why I'm running for the library board, but I needed to whittle it down to just some foundational things and tell you that this was a big part of my life as a child of immigrants, to be able to go to a library and access things and knowledge that simply were not available to me at home and from my parents. The library was my safe place. My desire is to run and serve the library district as a listener, a thinker, and a question presenter to ensure that the library is facilitating its patrons and staff in a supportive way. I believe this must be done by setting them up for success by providing clear opportunities, expectations, procedures, and anything else that will assist the evolution that is needed for the changing demands of the modern library. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is candidate Joseph Gay.
Thank you. And thank you, League of Women Voters, for having us here at our beautiful library. My name is Joe Gay. I'm running for the Library Board of Trustees. And one of the main reasons I'm doing that is sitting right there. That is my 8-year-old son. And he's here tonight because I made him come with me, but also because we love this place. And we love it because it's a great place for him to grow, to learn, and to play. But it's more than that too. It means a lot to me because it's a place that reminds us just how powerful knowledge can be and how powerful it is when we share it with each other. It's also a great place because it brings our community together. It gives our community a place to be proud of and to be happy about and to just enjoy to go to. So that's why I'm running. Now, I've been here for just about 11 years living in St. Charles. I've worked here for 12. I've worked for you. You probably didn't know that, but I'm a state's attorney. So I work for the County of Kane already. And public service is really important to me. It's important because it's part of who I am, but it's also important because it gives me a chance to give back to this community that has given a lot to me and my family. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm asking for your vote. I'm really just asking for another chance to give something back, and especially to this place. Because it is important to me. It's a place that I love, and it's a place that I think we need to make sure stays great, not just for him, but for the next group of kids that come and the group after that. So thank you all, and please make sure you vote on April 1st, all right? Thank you.
Next with their 2-minute introduction is candidate Robert Gephardt.
Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. It's an honor to be here. My name is Robert Gephardt. After serving in the U.S. Navy, my wife and I moved to St. Charles 25 years ago. We have 2 children, and as a family, we've always been avid users of the library. Professionally, I hold an electrical engineering degree from the University of Notre Dame and an MBA from Aurora University. I'm a certified financial planning professional, a fiduciary, and a partner at Canton Financial Planning. In 2011, I was living in St. Charles and commuting to Rogers Park, spending 4 hours a day on the train. When I took my current position at Cantland, I made a personal commitment to not waste that time. So instead of mindlessly watching TV or browsing the internet, I joined the St. Charles Breakfast Rotary Club. It's a fantastic community organization where we meet every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. at the Colonial Cafe here on the east side of St. Charles. I'm proud to say I've served as both president and currently as treasurer of the club. I was also selected to join the St. Charles Library Foundation Board, a wonderful 501c3 organization dedicated to enhancing the programs and services here at the library. I served as treasurer of the foundation board until 2017, when I applied and was selected to fill a vacancy on the library board. In 2019, I was honored to be elected to a full 6-year term and to be chosen as president, a role I continue to serve today. During my time on the library board, I've had the opportunity to be part of some transformative moments, including the 2020 renovation, navigating the challenges of COVID, stepping in as interim director after Edith Craig's resignation, and ultimately helping to hire a new director, Kate Buxton. I hope my experience on the board and my continued dedication to this community give you confidence in voting for me on April 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, with her 2-minute introduction, is candidate Jane Shelton.
Hi, I'm Jane Shelton, and I want to thank the League for hosting this forum tonight and for everyone who's attending as well. As a lifelong reader and librarian for over 30 years, with over 30 years of experience, I am deeply passionate about the power of libraries to transform lives. Born in Chicago and raised in the Fox Valley, I grew up in a big family that loved to read. At 5, I got my very first library card right here at the St. Charles Public Library. In college, I studied theater and pursued a brief but memorable acting and comedy career before discovering my true calling and going back to school to earn my master's degree in library and information sciences from the University of Maryland in 1990. I began my career with an internship at the Library of the Supreme Court of the United States, followed by positions in law libraries in firms in Washington, D.C. and Chicago after my husband and I moved back to St. Charles. In 2000, as a mom with young kids, I switched gears and joined the St. Charles Public Library as an adult services librarian. For the next 24 years, I proudly served my community, sharing my love of learning, reading, and service until my retirement in March 2024. In what seems like a blink of an eye, I've seen incredible changes in the library space, from the end of the physical card catalog to the library of things. There is nothing static, dated, or obsolete about the library. It is an ever-evolving, ever-developing community resource, and I hope to keep us moving forward as an innovator and welcoming leader in third spaces. Libraries have been my life's work, and serving as a trustee is a continuation of my commitment to public service. I will bring my expertise, integrity, and dedication to ensure that our library remains an essential institution for generations to come.
Thank you. We're going to questions now, and you get 1 minute for an answer, and we're going to start with candidate Gay. How do you understand the role of library trustee in relation to working with the library director, staff, and community?
Sure. First, I got to say, these people up here, I mean, we do love the library, don't we? So that makes me happy. I'm glad to hear that. There's something that has become clear to me as I ask people and try to understand what our library needs and what the community looks to for this library, is that it's important to know the roles of everybody. And what the library board can and can't do, and what the library board should be doing. Part of that is working with the director. Now, if you look at the bylaws, it's clear, black and white, that the director works for the library board. But you got to look in between the lines, because who is it that is here day in and day out working with our community? It's the director and the staff. It's the people that you see when you walk in those doors. So the board is the one who chooses the director, right? And the director, under the bylaws, works for the board, right? Well, I think you got to look at it both ways, because the board really should be working for the director and for the staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gebhardt, same question.
The board has one employee, as library director. The board's job is to write the policies, and the procedures that the library is going to follow, and to represent the patrons of the library to understand what they want and what they need. But it's really that relationship between the board and the library director. It's the director's job to then to take those policies and procedures, implement them in practice, and put them in practice. It's really, that's the relationship between the board and the director.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton.
I second, third, whatever, what these two other gentlemen have already said. I mean, the board has one employee, that's the director. But again, we cannot be tone deaf to the needs of the community and the needs of the staff and others that use this space. So it really should be also a sounding board for, you know, what kind of issues might come up, and be able to react or act on whatever the needs are. So works together with the community.
Thank you. Candidate Diefenbach.
Yeah, I almost second what's being said here, but I kind of liken this to the board being more of a representative. And we represent the patrons, and in conjunction with the patrons, the staff, and I would say that the director is who we hold accountable. And so although we have one person we hold accountable, we need to be very cognizant to be excellent listeners and communicators, and have an open door to all staff and patrons of the library. That, I think, is the ultimate role of a board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gebhardt. What do you believe to be the greatest challenge to the library in the next 6 years?
That's a really good question. We have a couple of big challenges coming up very quickly. Right after this election, we are going to be starting to renegotiate our union contract with the library, with the ASME 31. That contract expires January 1st. The other big challenge we have coming up is the roof. We did a renovation in 2020, 2021, but we did not, but we still had a couple years left on the big flat roof over the reading room here, as well as the roof of the Carnegie. Back then that was estimated to be about $400,000. And we need, I'm assuming with inflation that has gone up quite a bit. And so we're working with state representatives to find state grants due to the historical significance of the building to help fund it.
Candidate Shelton.
I think that one of the greatest challenges that not only this library but many libraries face is the threat of censorship and the effect of a society that doesn't see the value of a library or challenges our existence. So I would say that we need to keep doing what we do really well here, which is provide an excellent service, and make sure that we're getting the word out that we are not irrelevant, and we provide a very, very valuable service for the community.
Thank you. Candidate Diefenbach.
Yeah, so I think that knowing that fiscally there are things ahead of us, those are jobs and tasks that need to be done that are part of our normal routine within running a library. But with regards to a challenge, I would say that there's a lot of misinformation that is out there that we do need to combat. I think that there needs to be a lot more communication about the resources and services the library does have as well as can have. And I also think that there is a safety concern with the libraries, and I think that a lot of that came to head during the COVID situation, where this library did experience some major safety concerns that I think a lot of folks would have liked to have addressed better. And I don't think that safety in all libraries is being addressed as much as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gabe.
Sure, I'll add on top of that too, really the biggest challenge for any library and for as we kind of as a society move forward is going to be changing how we adapt to different technologies and different ways that people process information. There is a relatively new type of technology that's coming out and being used everywhere. It's artificial intelligence. You may not think about it when you think about your library, but it's going to have an impact. It's going to have an impact on everything that we do as a society. That's just another thing to put on there. But really, let's be pragmatic. What's the biggest challenge? It's what Mr. Gephardt said. It's making sure we have a roof over the head here. It's making sure that we have a budget that can pay for those things that are most important right away. There might be big threats out there, but with a community like this that's devoted to keeping this place a great place, that we'll be able to handle those. It'll be more about making sure that we have the infrastructure and the place to be. Thank you.
Thank you. We've gotten a couple of questions here, and I'll put the two questions together. And we'll start with candidate Shelton. What is your thoughts about celebrating Banned Book Week in this library? And what is your philosophy regarding the banning of books as it relates to intellectual freedom?
Well, I'm glad I got this question. Yeah, celebrating banned books, absolutely. Every week,
Let me
repeat the question.
Let me do it.
Okay,
Question's done. Okay. What are your thoughts about celebrating Banned Books Week in this library, and what is your philosophy regarding the banning of books as it relates to intellectual freedom?
Okay, so second half of the question, I'm 100% against banning books, any way, shape, or form, hard stop. And we have policies, a policy in place for that. We follow the ALA guidelines on the right to, intellectual freedom to read. So I think that the reason that we celebrate it is to bring awareness that this is a threat, that people will decide what you can read or what your child can read. Somebody else is going to decide that for you. I don't think that that's the role of the library. I think we should offer something for everybody, whether you agree with it or not. We should bring awareness that books are for all people. No banning.
Thank you. Candidate Diefenbrock.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually pretty close to the end of reading Lula Dean's little library of banned books. I haven't quite completed that yet. I am a believer of the First Amendment, and that one of the things that we need to be aware of is that provocative doesn't mean obscene. They are not synonymous terms, and we need to have a freedom to read, just as we have freedoms to choose. And if it isn't celebrated here, then what we are celebrating in that week is that something was provocative. It created controversy and thought and discussion, and that is what's so gorgeous about the library and books and any kind of innovative thought and idea. That's how I feel about that week, and I'm excited about it.
Thank you. Candidate Gabe.
Thank you. No book bans ever. So that's an easy question. Thank you. The next part, though, just take a look at what some of the books that have been banned in history are. There's some really good books, some classics on there. So I am for that. I'm for celebrating that, and I'm for getting anything that will get more people involved and into the library. The thing to remember, though, here, too, is that my position on what book is good or not good does not matter to you. It doesn't matter if when I'm elected or if I'm elected on the board, because I won't be choosing that. That's what our director does. That's what our selectors do. We do not do that as board members. But I could give you a list of things to read if you want it, for what it's worth. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gephardt.
We're going to go 4 for 4 here. I support the freedom to read, as described in the ALA's Library Bill of Rights, which the current library board here has adopted. That states, libraries should provide materials and information presenting all points of view on current and historical issues. Materials should not be prescribed or removed because of partisan or doctrinal disapproval. We celebrate Banned Book Week here at the library. I think it's a great thing to point out, to have that discussion in the community of what has been banned in the past. I'll also say that we have great selectors here at the library, and we actually have, I'll say it, a level-headed patrons. In the 7.5 years I've been on the library board, I have yet to have a single discussion about banning a book here at the library.
Thank you.
I think I just asked for that. I apologize.
Candidate Diefenbach. What are your thoughts about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Right, okay, so it's a very broad stroke question. What do I think about training? What do I think about it as a concept? What do I think about it as it's being socially discussed out there? There's a lot of avenues I can take here. What I can say is that I believe in inclusion, I believe in equity, I believe in everyone having a safe place, I believe in everyone being represented. I believe that we should be learning about different perspectives and cultures so that we can better identify disconnects in communication and how we can better represent folks that we haven't walked in their shoes. I think that DEI is important. I think that what it has been twisted into representing is incorrect and is a false flag, and that we should maybe reboot that concept. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gabe.
Yeah, thank you. DEI is kind of a buzz phrase, I guess, and maybe a politically charged term. But I take it back to what does it mean here then for me sitting in front of you. Again, there is a policy adopted by the library board as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is something that the library board does get to vote on and have that policy. But what does it really mean? It comes down to access for all of our community members to this great library, and to be comfortable here, and to have a place that they feel safe. And sometimes that means whether it's that loaded issue, or whether it's just somebody who has extra needs, whether it's physical or mental. They also need equity and inclusion. And we got to think of other ways as a library to make sure that every member of our community is involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gephardt.
I believe I'm a colorblind person. I don't believe you should judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. When it comes to library policies, obviously, you need to make sure that you don't discriminate in any way, shape, or form. There are a lot of laws regarding that. One difficult issue that was recently decided in the last few months actually was the Supreme Court ruled against affirmative action for split college admissions. And so we need to make sure that policies, hiring policies at the library, do not open the library to lawsuits that are being now flagged for those types of policies. Thank you.
Candidate Shelton.
I agree that this seems to be some sort of, political issue, when in fact it is something that I think it makes the library stronger. We had trainings here when I was working here on this very topic. We had a committee that was devoted to really looking over our policies, all of which was really helpful, but kind of stopped. And I don't think that was a good thing. I think that diversity is our strength, and that we need to be reaching out to members of the community that don't feel represented here, and our collection should be inclusive. It should be diverse. It should be equitable. All of those things can easily slip through if they're not really focused on and celebrated or lifted up. So I am all for keeping our eyes on underserved and maybe people who are marginalized, and make sure that they're represented here.
Thank you. Candidate Gabe. This is a long one.
Okay.
Can you speak to the use of the library building and its services in relation to people who are unhoused? What role does the library currently play in providing space and services to those who are without homes or have other social needs, such as after-school or elder care? what role do you think the library should play in relation to those who are homeless, have social needs, or are disenfranchised in some way? You get a whole minute to answer that.
I don't think you could say that in a minute if you tried again. But it is a long question, but it's good, and it boils down to this, right? People in our community have different uses for this library. Sometimes there will be someone here that needs a place that's warm, that just needs a place to warm up. Sometimes there's a guy here who needs a computer to apply for a job. Okay, there are a lot of different resources that are here and available to the unhoused, to the less fortunate members of our community. And that's great. That's a great thing to do. But you got to think of the other ways that it can be used and beneficial for every member of our community. So that means, too, going out and not just stopping at the doors, right? Let's make the library go to other people. There's places where homeless families are living with kids that don't have access. They can't hop in a car and come to the library. Bring the library to them. There's different things that we can do that are extensive, and ways that we can help everybody in our community, whether that's here in this building or outside.
Thank you. Candidate Gephardt.
Yes, the library is a warming shelter for people when it is cold outside. We do have quite a few people, unhoused people that spend an amount of time at the library. And we work with them as best we can to help them. One of the policies we have put in place to help those people with lower income is we recently, in the past, I think it was about 18 months ago, went fine-free. So to help those people that are lower income, so that we no longer charge late fines, so they can continue to use materials.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton.
I do think that this can be perceived as a challenge, but we are a public space, and we have to accommodate people who might have different needs than what you think is, maybe acceptable or not. I don't know. I feel like we're open space. We have to allow people in, and we have to do our best to serve them, however that looks. So I also think that there are opportunities to reach out to the community in other ways, but we do a pretty good job with outreach, but that's always going to be something that we can expand on and move out to marginalized communities. But I think the building is open to all.
Thank you. Candidate Diefenbach.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so I think that we already have some things in place with regards to like Homebound, where we can bring out things to people who don't have a way to get to the library easily. I would like to see a little more partnership with some local organizations that are close to the library that do indeed work with the unhoused, and perhaps in partnershiping with those individuals in individual organizations, we could come up with some more structure surrounding the unhoused in our community, because right now it seems like it's a little bit confused. I think that there's some training that may be desired just from speaking with folks in how to handle that, and that kind of also speaks to the DEI portion of things, understanding how to work with the unhoused and what their needs are and may be. And then I also had recently found out that there's even a whole program with regards to accessibility available for those individuals.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with candidate Gephardt. Today's libraries are also gathering spaces for study, business, and organizational groups, and for community events. What other ideas do you have for the library to serve as a gathering space for the community?
So we have an exciting new program starting, I believe it's next month, here at the library. It's called STC Immersive. We actually, you can see these brand new cameras up here on the roof. And it's going to provide this, we can bring the Louvre to the library. It's a great new experience. It just came out, it's in your library brochure you got in the mail just a couple weeks ago. Highly recommended. It's an example of our partnership with the Library Foundation to provide these state-of-the-art programs that are not available anywhere else in the community.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton.
I'm sorry, but can you just repeat what the question was?
Sure. Today's libraries are also gathering spaces for study, business, and organizational groups and for community events. What other ideas do you have for the library to serve as a gathering space for the community?
Well, as we all know, space is a premium wherever you are, and meeting spaces are in high demand in our library, and it would be great if we could, double this room and have it in use all the time. So I think that's a little bit of a challenge because we have the space that we have. Having said that, I think there's always room to try to have programs and things that are interesting to the community and that might not have been tried before. I'm sorry, I don't really know what that is, but we have a great staff here who I'm sure has already come up with a great idea, and as a board member, I'd love to support that.
Thank you. Candidate Diefenbach.
I think that we have a lot of great services and programs already in place, and we have individuals that work really hard to cater to the community and what their desires are. But I would like to see us reach out a little bit more in the realm of logic and not just fun movie nights. And I mean, we do have that. We have that with tax preparation and some career services for small businesses. But I would want to see a little bit more of that to help some of our more in need and underserved families and homes. For financial advice on a more regular basis, but I imagine that that's a budgetary and staffing thing that we would need to work on and see if it's possible. But I'd like to see a few more things that are just in place and not sporadically available to individuals, but consistently available with regards to resume making, career services, and that sort of thing on the sort of a static basis.
Thank you. Candidate Gay.
Programs for youth are up. Attendance is up for youth. Programs for adults is up. Attendance is up for adults. The library is going in the right direction, and there's great things that are done here. So the idea of what programs or what other things we can do is we're moving in the right direction. The idea, though, is communication. So what are those programs, and how many of you have been to one of them? How many of you have missed a program because you didn't know it was there, and then you saw it on Facebook and you were like, I really wish I would have gone to that? How many of you were like, man, if there was just a corresponding youth program where you could drop a kid downstairs and then go watch the piano player, would have done that too. So it comes down to communication, working with our patrons, what they need, and so that they know what's going on here and can come and enjoy it.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton, what unique perspective qualities would you bring to the board to benefit the library and community?
Well, I think that my years of experience and my dedication to libraries really set me up for being a good listening ear to staff and patrons alike, as well as working with a board who are committed to excellent library services. So I feel like my whole life, my whole worldview is libraries. So as I'm sure everybody up here loves this place, I particularly have devoted my life to library service. So I feel confident that I would like to carry on that service.
Thank you. Candidate Diefenbach.
Yeah, I mean, some things I didn't touch on was that, I have a Master of Fine Arts. I majored in theater and minored in, you want fries with that? But I also have a communications degree, and I'm currently an account coordinator for branded items and marketing. And as Mr. Joe Gay said here, I do think that some of this is marketing related, and I would love to try to push the library a little bit more to think outside the box on how to really hit the streets and market these programs and services and create more of a social media mark that's a bit more trendy and there's a lot of things that I think we need to hook the youth on with regards to the library that we're not exploring. And I think that my theater background, communication background, and marketing background, as well as being a mom and a lover of the library, could really help ask some questions and provoke some thought around what other things we can be doing.
Thank you. Candidate Gay.
Can you repeat? Oh, I wasn't paying attention, but I knew I wasn't going first, sorry.
What unique perspective/qualities would you bring to the board to benefit the library and community?
Well, obviously, I'm honest about my faults, not paying attention and whatnot. I don't have the experience, okay? I've never been a librarian. I've never been on the board. That's not what I bring. I have a legal background. Before that, I was a chemical and biomolecular engineer. That has nothing to do with what a library board does. But I'm a father. I'm a father who's got a kid here who's 8, and I've done it also with another family too. My older kids, the oldest one's about to graduate college. So I've gone through all the programs once. I'm back here, I'm doing it again, and I bring that perspective. I am just one of your neighbors. So that is important that this board reflects our community. And I'd like to bring that level, that skill set of being a dad, I guess, to this board. Thank you.
Candidate Gephardt.
What unique qualities? Well, I'm a veteran, I'm an engineer, a program manager, an investment advisor, a father, a husband. I was interim director of this library for 6 months. I have experience, and I'm highly involved in the community, with my community service, with my Rotary Club, and previously with the Library Foundation. I've been doing this for 7.5 years, looking forward to 6 more, maybe more than that. Yeah, I have the experience.
Thank you. Candidate Diepenbrock.
I thought I just answered this
You
question.
did. I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a minute, this is a test.
Now I have to read the question. Taxpayers often express concerns over the costs of providing library services to the community and advise collaborating or consolidating services with other entities. What sorts of programs or services do you think lend themselves to this type of cooperation? What is already being done? In your opinion, what might this work and why doesn't it work? Another long one.
Is that me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. Can you repeat the first part?
Yep. Taxpayers often express concerns over the costs of providing library services to the community and advise collaborating and consolidating services with other entities.
Yeah, okay, yes, okay. So I think that collaborating is really great. I think that, we've already collaborated with the school district, D303, to get our librarians out into the schools to make sure that students are aware that they can, each and every one of them, get a library card. There's a collaboration there. Like I said earlier, I think we could collaborate with some of our local philanthropic organizations to see what we can do to help some of the underserved in our community in that manner. That in and of itself can probably stretch $1, if you will, because you're now looking at several different places that you can utilize their resources and vice versa to assist the community to grow. And honestly, the library is invaluable. You can't really put a price tag on it. I think, Carnegie made very clear how valuable a library can be and why. So those are my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Candidate Gay.
I do think the most logical place for collaboration is with the school district. And I'm going to say your name wrong, I'm sorry. Diepenbrock. She warned me. But I already told you, there's efforts that are being made as far as making sure every kid has a library card that's in the district. But that is not an area that I would say is good for cost cutting too. That overlapping services that we can provide to our kids, that's not where we look to save money. That's where we look to spend more money. Otherwise, there's other parts of municipal government and things where I'm sure there's cooperation and things that can be done. But the library offers services that other places cannot, and that we can only get here in our community. So really, when it comes to making your tax dollar worth it, the library does that. That's what we should stay focused on, and I think we already do that. So.
Candidate Gephardt.
So every month, the organizations in this area get together in an intergovernmental meeting. It's the city, it's the township, the park district, the forest preserve, the D303, and the library get together and have a meeting and discuss these ways we can work together, make sure we're all on the same page with what other organizations are doing, so that we can coordinate and give a fair accounting to the taxpayer that we are working together. Some examples of that are movie night with the Park District, where the library provides the movies. And then I think Barb mentioned we have a revenue sharing agreement with D303. A lot of people don't realize D303 does not have overlap with the library district. And so there are actually students that are not in the library district, so we have a revenue sharing agreement with them to provide library cards to all students in D303 while they are enrolled.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton.
So I think that the taxpayer gets an excellent value on their investment in the library already. And as Rob just said, we do have intergovernmental meetings where we meet with these other entities to see how best to serve people. Others have mentioned the D303 card for every kid in the district. So all of those are collaborations. We collaborate with seniors centers. We collaborate with the Fox Valley Adults with Disabilities. That's a more new program, but we are constantly reaching out to other groups to see how we can, help each other or complement each other. But I do think that if you ever look at the bottom of your checkout card and see how much money you save by using your library, you will see that we are indeed a very excellent value. So I think we keep doing what we do best. Be a library.
Thank you. Candidate Gay. Describe how you use the library and what materials or services you find to be the most valuable.
Sure, it's great, the fine ending, so thank you for doing that. I have both the digital and hard copy books that I get here from the library. I did check out a book, in full transparency here, that was a do-it-yourself start a website that I tried for my campaign. It didn't work. There is no website for my campaign. But that's just to give you an idea of what I do for the library. I just come here for anything that I'm working on, that I want to look at. The other way that I use it, it's about 50% that, the other 50% is again with my son. It's the programs that he has, and yes, thank you, Liam, for waving, and the books that he loves. He loves to come here more to play, and he loves the facilities downstairs. So we use both the physical building as well as the materials, and that's the most common thing that we do. I wish I could come to a couple more events, but that's what we do.
Candidate Gephardt.
So I went to the library and I checked out a book, and it taught me how to write my own will. Save a little bit of money there. I use ebooks. I have an e-reader. I have a little Kobo e-reader. I really like it a lot. We actually spend more money on electronic resources now than we do actual physical books. The subscriptions that we have are very expensive. It's a great value that a lot of people don't know is out there. I may even use it for the Value Line Investment Survey that the library provides for free to patrons. It's a very valuable resource for investors. And then, of course, the programs here are great. My favorite is the mixology class. It teaches you how to make some nice tropical drinks.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton.
I am also a big user of our electronic resources, which are amazing, and I either read or listen to audiobooks or ebooks all the time, and so I think that's a huge value. Also, I just like coming in and browsing the artist gallery, and I like just kind of walking around the serendipity of finding something on the shelf that you didn't know you needed, but then you walk home with. So I like being in the space, and I love using the electronic resources. Some of the business resources are excellent too, so I found that it's almost always up on my computer. I just log in.
Thank you. Candidate Diepenbrock.
I would say that myself and my family are big fans of the makerspace. We have utilized the 3D printing machines a lot. Got some D&D fans in my home, and so printing those minifigs and taking them home to paint has been a huge hit. Use the podcast room. We're not, with the kids being in school, they tend to gravitate towards the school library, but the room checkout for D&D and friends has happened several times. So we tend to be more of a family that utilizes the library for the resources. And I'm an audiobook lover, and I'm a little bit impulsive, so I will be in the bath and just buy one on Audible. I'm not confirmed.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to closing statements, and we will start with candidate Gephardt, and you get 2 minutes.
I believe that stable leadership is crucial for the success of municipal government entities. For the past 7.5 years, I've had the honor of serving on the library board. In fact, I'm currently the second longest serving trustee on the board. During that time, there's been significant turnover among both trustees and directors. I'm not running on a platform of radical change, but rather on a commitment to continue improving our library. My focus is on ensuring we can better serve the patrons of our library district, building on the progress we've already made. Some of the key accomplishments I'm proud of include completing the library renovation on time and within budget during the challenges of COVID, securing a revenue sharing agreement with D303 so every student in the district has access to a library card, and eliminating late fees to make library services more accessible for low-income patrons. I hope that my track record of achievement gives you confidence in my ability to lead moving forward. I respectfully ask for your vote on April 1st. Vote for me, Robert Gephardt, and together we will continue to strengthen our library for the community.
Thank you. Candidate Shelton, your closing statement.
Fortunately, I prepared a 1-minute section, so I'll speak slowly. Again, thank you, League, for hosting this event. Libraries and librarians are under attack in communities in our country. We had our own brush with extremism in our library not too long ago, and to me, it feels like the national climate is receptive to limiting your right to read what you want to read, as well as defunding libraries and museums. To be clear, the St. Charles Public Library does not rely on any federal funding, but the idea that libraries are irrelevant in the tech era is persistent and has a dampening effect on libraries everywhere. I am an experienced librarian, well-read, if you will, in public service and the day-to-day workings of this library. If elected a trustee, I will work hard to ensure the St. Charles Library continues to provide excellent staff, services, resources, and programs, is transparent with taxpayer dollars, and rises to meet the challenges ahead. The election is April 1st. If you need further information on this or any other topic, stop by your local library. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Diepenbrock.
I'm going to improvise a little bit and then go to my words here, but during the pandemic, it became very clear that the library was under attack and people felt unsafe on a variety of levels. It took 3 days for the library to close after death threats and an internal protest that happened within the library, and that was too long. I think that what I would like to bring to this position is the human element. I personally think that black and white numbers, structure, infrastructure, that is something that can be learned, it can be taught. What we can tend to lack is the human element and empathy and understanding and communication, things that are a little bit less tangible and not as equation driven. That is something I would like to drive home that I feel is very much needed on the board. I want to close also with a quote that kind of relates to that, which is, bad libraries build collections. Good libraries build services. Great libraries build communities. That's a quote from Dr. R. David Lankus. He's a professor and director at the School of Library and Information Sciences at the University of South Carolina, and I came across some information while doing some research about what would be needed should I serve on the board. And if the public sees it fit for me to run on the board, I would be honored to take the responsibility of protecting, facilitating, and nurturing anything to do with our St. Charles Public Library as a huge thank you for helping me grow as a human being. I would serve to uphold the library as the local embodiment of the American dream, a place where all are welcome, freedom of thought and ideas are abundant, and services are provided that assist the people of this community in their ongoing journey of growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gay, your closing statement.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. It's really important. I really appreciate you guys doing these type of things because it's important for you all to hear from your candidates. Yes, us answer these questions and so you know who we are, but it's also important just to show our community that we all care. You guys are here. I know some of you are here maybe for the next round, but that doesn't matter to me because you guys are here listening and because you do care about this place and this community. So that's why these type of things are important. I think it's clear that we've all heard a lot tonight, some good ideas and a lot of great things about our library. That is not a coincidence. That is because this is a great place. And it's because it reflects our community and what we prioritize and what is important to us. So how do we keep that going? How do we do that? It's communication and it's access. It's having the people in our community know where they can find and what they can find at the library and want to come here. That is our goal. That's my goal of being on this board. And I really appreciate you all coming here and giving us this opportunity to talk to you. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Our time is up for this forum. For more information, please visit the Nonpartisan Voter Guide, illinoisvoterguide.org in March. The candidates' website, if they have one. As well as the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County website. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving the democracy we hold dear. Please remember to vote on or before April 1st, as one vote can decide the election and that one vote could be yours. Let's give the candidates a round of applause. Are we ready to start? Welcome to the candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. My name is Jan Dorner, and I am from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. At this time, I would ask that you please turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. I would also ask that you refrain from applauding or in any other way demonstrating support or opposition for a candidate. No campaign literature will be passed out in this room, and feel free to put on your campaign bling once you leave this room. Note cards and pencils have been provided on which to submit your questions. Questions will be screened only for duplication, clarity, and appropriateness to the office being discussed. Please submit questions for all candidates participating in the forum. Please signal a league volunteer when your question is ready for submission. Also signal a volunteer if additional note cards are needed. Realize that we may not get to all questions. This forum is for those seeking to be St. Charles D303 school board members for a 4-year term. 8 candidates are running for 4 positions. Candidates Antoinetta Burton Nicholas and Aaron White have not responded to our repeated invitations. All other candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. Each candidate will present a 1-minute introductory statement, the order determined alphabetically by last name. Then questions will be asked and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond in ascending order. Closing statements and continuing alpha rotation will also be 1 minute. League of Women Voters Central Kane County members will keep time and candidates will strictly adhere to the time limits. Candidates, please notice the timers. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your sentence. So let's get started. We'll start with candidate Kathleen Kate Bell, your 1 minute opening statement.
I don't have to do anything, it's just on. The microphone is just on, I don't have to do anything.
Right.
Okay, spectacular. Very close to it. You gotta get very close to it. I don't. No, it's not on. Okay, what do I do? The gray button? Yes. Now? Can you hear me? Okay. Really close. Okay, I'll be really close. All right, now you can hear me? Okay, here we go. My name is Kate Bell. I'm on the ballot, I think, as Catherine Kate Bell. I am a St. Charles native, and I have not lived here all my life, but for quite a long time. I wanted to bring my family home when my husband and I decided to start a family. So we moved back here. I left in 2nd or 3rd grade, and then I moved back here because it's just home. I'm a current board member, finishing out a 4-year term. I've served on various committees, safety for 4 years. I'm currently the DPTO rep. I was on the Citizen Advisory Committee, Cell Phone Committee, Strategic Plan, all kinds of various ad hoc committees and leadership roles and, not leadership roles, committee chairs, positions. And I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Candidate Heidi Fairgrove.
My name is Heidi Fairgrave. Closer. Is this better? How about now? There we go. Thank you very much for your help with that. My name is Heidi Fairgrave. I am currently running for the D303 school board. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting and facilitating this evening, and most importantly, thank you to all of you for spending your evening listening to our discussion, and those of you that are viewing remotely as well. So I am currently an incumbent. I am finishing my 2nd 4-year term. I served on various committees while on the school board, ranging from community relations to most of the time business services committee. I was elected to a vice president officer role by my board colleagues, and in addition to that, elected as president of the school board for 3 consecutive terms. From a professional standpoint, I have worked in the corporate environment for about 35 years. At this point, in a variety of leadership roles, ranging from 200 individual operations to my current role, which is from a strategic standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jenna Hancock.
Hello. My name is Jenna Hancock. Thank you to the League, as others have said, and also to those of you who are either here or at home watching for taking an active part in the democratic process. My husband and I laid down our roots here in St. Charles in 2008. We raised both of our daughters here who attend D303 schools. So I have a 4th grader and an 8th grader currently. I'm deeply invested and rooted in this community and its success of schools. I've served as a classroom volunteer. I've served as the secretary and president of the Davis-Richmond PTO board, which is really like serving on 2 boards at one time. And as well as serving as a part-time teacher and long-term sub this year, which I'm wrapping up pretty quickly at St. Charles East. So I have a lot of experience within our district. My career began in human resources. And really what that shows is you have to have a deep level of integrity to handle a role like that, because you are privy to a lot of personnel information, business decisions, operations decisions, finance decisions, but my true calling was education. So I did transition over to a high school teacher. I teach. Okay, sorry. More to come.
Thank you. Candidate Thomas Lentz.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight, all the community members who are watching and who showed up to participate. I'd also like to thank my wife, who is running our kids to basketball and karate tonight to allow me to come here. I joined the school board about 1.5 years ago in the 2023 race. I ran for the remainder of somebody's term. I currently serve as board vice president and chair the business services and safety committees, or co-chair those committees. During my tenure here on the business services committee, we are one of the few districts in the entire state to publish a 5-year budget plan. And I'm looking forward to helping to continue to serve this community. I'm very invested. I do have 3 kids in elementary school here, so we got a long way to go. Thanks.
Candidate Elias Pelios.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Elias Palacios, and I'm running for the School District 303, and thank you, the League, and thank you everybody here who are present. And I'm running because I do have 2 children. One is in elementary school and the other is in high school. And also I need to be grateful to my wife, like maybe the same, that she's taking already my children to music lessons tonight. And my experience is graduate degree in psychology, working experience with mental health and substance use disorder, in forensic treatment and assessment, in all human services within this state of Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Kimberly Rich.
When I try to turn this on, it says it is out of battery. There we go. Thank you for sharing. Hi, I am Kimberly Rich. I have had a 24-year career in education. I did grow up here in St. Charles, attending Munhall, Thompson, and East when it was just the high school, which we're very proud of. In that 24-year career, I have served in both public and private education. I have worked in preschool through high school as a teacher, as an administrator, a school principal, and as a coach. I have taught in this district at Davis, Richmond, and Norton Creek. I have been a teacher of a school that has won the Blue Ribbon and an administrator of a school that has received the Blue Ribbon. I am a mother of a child who is currently at Redling and one who is currently at East High School. I have a master's degree in administration, a master's degree in special education, and a doctoral degree in organizational leadership, and I have previously served on a school board.
Candidate Fairgrave. As a board member, how do you propose increasing standardized test results at the high school? And let me just ask you to please keep your mouth on the microphone.
It might be easier to hold it.
It might. Are you able to? Yeah. Can you hear me now?
No.
Hold it, hold it.
How about now?
No.
I think the
Do you need mine?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want this one?
Here we go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Can you repeat the question, please? Make sure I have it appropriate.
As a board member, how do you propose increasing standardized test results at the high school?
We actually have the effort underway, and it's called our high school renewal strategy that we're currently working on right now. And really, that focus in particular is on the high school, and we're really looking at it as a white paper exercise. And I should say we're asking our administrative team to look at it as a white paper exercise, and that as a board is our expectation. And what I mean by that is they are looking at every aspect, not only just math, curriculum pathways, the hours of school, how we are currently structured at the high school, all of those elements. Looking at best practices of aspirational districts versus other target districts. The other thing that I think is unique that we have not done historically is we are also looking at the connections between the high school to the middle school to the elementary school. So if you look at math, for example, we're looking at the building blocks starting really even in second grade, and how do the results from second grade, how does that transpire, excuse me, to the results at the high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me grab that.
And when you turn your head, we can't hear you. So do this.
Candidate Hancock.
So standardized tests are obviously something that happens in the high school, but it has to start down in the elementary level, right? We need a strong foundation of reading and math. And so I think that part of the process has to be really evaluating the programs and the time that is spent on those foundational subjects in the earlier years. The other thing that needs to be addressed in order to increase test scores is our absences. It's very difficult to teach students who are not in the room. And if you look at our chronic absentee numbers, they're pretty high. So we need to focus on how do we get students in our buildings, in our classrooms, so that we can focus on learning every day. Thank you.
Candidate Lentz.
Yes, as Mrs. Fairgrieve mentioned, we're going through the high school renewal, which is looking at all aspects of our curriculum. So from the grade schools, all the way up to the high schools. And seeing where those connections are, where things are missing. We've heard from our administrators that we're missing practice, that we don't have a unified homework policy across the district. That also doesn't give our community, when they're trying to follow up with their children about what homework do they have, you know, what are they following up with, right? Another area that we're looking to help with our test scores is our cell phones. We've asked administration to engage with our community to remove cell phones from our high schools from all levels, because that has had a negative impact. We've heard from our teachers and from administrators about the impact that constant beeping or distraction has had. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done with the community to remove or to move towards removing them from the classrooms. Thank you.
Candidate Palacio.
Going in this direction is, for me, is all the way from the beginning, kinder all the way to high school. And the preparation needed to be involving the parents, because the parents are responsible ultimately about the success of the children. And teachers, all the workers are helping, but the students need to go better grades. Like for instance, math, how the standardized tests needed to be done, or familiarize not only the students and the teachers, parents also need to know. If parents do not know about standardized tests, they will not understand, they will not thinking, oh, this is important. And math, English, this is important, and chemistry, those are important. And to have an excellent education, need to be a well-rounded preparation, like going to Harvard, a lot of testing from the beginning. Thank you.
Candidate Rich.
I believe a couple of things.
Hello. Ooh, look at that. I think a couple of things are important. I was a part of the strategic planning committee that helped to develop some of the things that the board is working on now, and I think continued focus on that, continued research on the effectiveness, and looking into what we need to keep moving forward with what we might want to redesign is really important. I think a backwards design is important, which has already been mentioned. What do they need to know at the high school level, and then keep working backwards to see where we need to be when you get to elementary school. I also think something that is really important is working with students on how to be effective communicators and how to have the confidence and the problem-solving skills to take these tests. A big part of it is going into it feeling confident, feeling calm, and knowing that you are able to effectively communicate what you believe is the best answer to that question. So building some of those skills, I think, is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bell.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. I think some of these mics are louder than others. Okay, what do I think about how we're going to increase our standardized testing scores? I'm going to echo what the other two board members, current board members, have said with regards to looking at the high school experience and with the really very large importance of removing cell phones from the classroom and learning spaces has been extremely valuable that we are hearing back from the educators. And how do we actually change those scores? Well, you've got to look at having a guaranteed and viable curriculum at each and every school for each and every level with the same testing measures. And then we're also looking at what happens at the middle school, what's happening at the elementary school, how are we supporting these kiddos all the way through this programming so that they can have effective scores. So one of the things that we have done is looking back at the various schools, our aspirational districts, our comparable districts, and having that information in a way that me as a parent with my children here, we've never done that before, so it's been a really wonderful experience that we're working on now.
Thank you. So on this question, we will start with candidate Hancock. And the question is, one role of a school board is to develop policies for the district. Are there existing District 303 policies of which you disapprove? Do you have any suggestions for new policies?
I know we are going through a cell phone policy change that's going to be implemented next school year. And I'll say with any policy, we need to make sure that we have a good plan for implementation. So there's always been rules regarding cell phones, right? And there's protocol that we want students to follow, but they're obviously not effective. And so as we go into implementing a new policy like the cell phone one, what is going to be the accountability mark, and what do we do for students and also for teachers to keep them accountable? We can't have where you go into one classroom and the expectation is different from the other. And I think that that's how it's been. So no new policy necessarily, but let's implement this next one with a lot of intention and understanding from day one for accountability purposes.
Candidate Lentz.
Yes. So the cell phone policy is a great example of where it's been inconsistently administered. We've engaged the community and had actually students give us feedback that they want consistency from the district and they want it enforced the same in every classroom. So that's one area where we have an implementation team of teachers and administrators working through that process, working closely with the union, etc. But one thing that it's not necessarily policy, but we are hamstrung by Senate Bill 100. It ties our administrators' hands with a lot of things that we're allowed to do from a disciplinary or moving classrooms or other things. So again, as challenges to that come in the future, I'm looking forward to us as a district evolving our policy to meet that, because anytime there are disruptions in our classroom, it takes not only the teacher's time, it takes the student who needs extra help, but it also impacts every other student in the classroom's learning ability. So looking forward to the future there.
Thank you. Candidate Palacio.
What I expanded this is the responsibility of teachers and also the training and education, how we select our teachers, how they are going to do their work. Do they have all the materials, all what they need in order to do the jobs, and the communication with the parents. Those are, and any policy within the district need to be revisited in an ongoing basis. Not only like, yeah, we set up a policy, it's 10 years or 20 years. we review those because normally things are changing in how we teach, how we behave, how teachers behave, how students behave, and everybody when they talk together about the success of the students. But my emphasis is more training, communication, and revisit policy on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
Candidate Rich.
I will actually start by saying I'm not positive this is a formal policy, but I believe it is one that is happening in the schools right now, and I would love to see teachers be able to access, attend, and benefit more from training outside of our district, from training that is provided by experts outside of D303 and separate from, we do have opportunities for teachers to work collaboratively on advanced degrees outside of the district, but to be attending training programs and conferences, to go out and meet with experts nationwide in different subjects, to be getting ideas, to be hearing about what top school districts and top states are doing, to bring that back, to have policies for how they implement, how they share what they have learned, how they are able to get that to their teams, their PLCs, their schools, and even district-wide. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bell.
I served on policy committee as a co-chair for one of my years on the school board. And when you are reviewing policy, it is a very collaborative process. I feel that we are fielding our questions from either staff, administration, public, about anything that might have to do with Senate Bill 100 that Mr. Letts spoke about. And there's very little wiggle room that you have when there's a policy that comes down from the state or federal. What we can do as a board is doing our constant review, which you do when you're on the policy committee, but then that goes back to the entire board. One thing that I know in the past that we've had is inconsistent rollout and support. So with the cell phone policy, to Mr. Lentz's point, we have had a lot of community input, and we're going to make sure that there is clear procedure attached to that policy so that the teachers and staff feel more supported in enforcing those things.
Thank you. Candidate Fairgrave.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me? From my standpoint, certainly I'm looking forward to the implementation of our cell phone policy.
Can you hear us?
Is it not working?
No, it's not working. Okay.
Fully support the cell phone policy task force that we've had working, and from feedback that we have gotten, to Mr. Lentz's point, from students and from teachers, it will definitely be a marked improvement in helping us move forward in our academic rigor. In addition to that, we will be, the intention is to look at our homework policy as well. Again, this is also one of the building blocks or structures that we're looking to put in place to increase our academic rigor. Developing a policy with homework on intention. Senate Bill 100, that is something that we will always have to work with. So certainly looking forward to continually involving our policies around that. And finally, part of my expertise is the policy committee. So we definitely are looking on an annual basis, continual basis.
Thank you. Candidate Lentz, please explain how you intend to ensure the district equitably supports all students and staff in the strategic mission of Pathways to Excellence. How do special education, general education, multilingual, and high-achieving populations and their needs get met without harming any population's educational needs?
That is a heady question. There's a lot of stuff in that. Well, when we're serving on the board, we are focused on all the students in D303. When we look at our budget, we look at the budget across all of our programs. And so one of the things that I'm very proud of that we've brought in my short tenure on the board is putting our administration through what's called academic ROI training, where the administrators come back to the board and provide the board with information about our programs. So be they special education, which, again, we have carve-outs in the law that we're required to do, be it gifted programs or other programs, what are the results we are expecting on an academic basis from those programs, and how much are we spending on them? Because we do not have an infinite budget. Every dollar in our district is spent, as best as we can possibly do it. And when we want to give it to the board as well as the community, how are we spending those dollars? And is there a more efficient way, a more effective way that we could be spending those dollars?
Thank you. Candidate Palacio.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Please explain how you intend to ensure that the district equitably supports all students and staff in the strategic mission of Pathways to Excellence. How do special education, general education, multilingual, and high-achieving populations and their needs get met without harming any population's educational needs?
And in my issues that I hear in my campaign issues, one is make sure the children have an excellent education and the taxes need to be adequate. When I said taxes adequate, meaning we need to, how we allocate our resources is very important. Not too high, not too low, underfunded. What we wanted is to get enough for everyone. And also not only just the money allocated to that one, all the stakeholders need to be invited, included, meaning parents, teachers, students, and anyone else, taxpayer, in order to see if their money is linked directly to the achievement of the students. And any either disabled individual, migrant individuals, any other individuals who come to this district. And we need to allocate just adequate funds to cover all the resources needed for the teachers to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rich.
I believe, is this working? I feel like it's not.
Hello, there we go. It just takes a minute. Needs to warm up. I think there are several ways that we can do this, and I think it looks different at the elementary level than it does at the upper grades. And so I think when you look at the elementary level, I think it's looking at intentional planning when you are determining class lists. I think that it's making sure that staff members have the support they need, and that's in human support. I believe that's in training. I believe that's in resources. I think at the high school level, when I think of equitably supporting all students and pathways to excellence without harm, to me, I think of diversity in offerings. Do we have a wide range of opportunities for our high school students to determine what their pathway to excellence is going to be, and how do we support them being able to learn about that right now in high school, explore some of it, make some mistakes in high school? I'm saying all of this knowing I would have to do a lot of research and deep dive into how you do balance the finances of that. I know that we can't just come in and do all of it without there being, some changes, but I think some of them can be done, and I have to stop. I'll tell you more later.
Thank you. Candidate Bell.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me? Okay. I served on the strategic plan committee, and one of the main things that Paul wanted to express when he, Dr. Gordon, the superintendent, folded the equity committee into strategic plan is that equity just is. And I wasn't quite sure what he meant. And he explained it that equity goes into each and everything that you're doing. Everyone who's participating, meaning a student, meaning a staff member, meaning a bus driver, anybody who has direct involvement with the student. You're seeing each and every student and each and every staff member for who they are. That means supporting the staff in their learning and supporting each and every student right in the pathway of their choice. And that was one of the things that we worked really hard on when working on the strategic plan. The more pathways we have available that we're spending fiscally responsible, that way, more pathways, meaning then more students can take those pathways.
Thank you. Candidate Fairgreen.
One of the excuse me, one of the guiding principles that I follow as a board member is ensuring that I am an advocate and very intentional for all stakeholders. And so with that, I'm very proud of being a part of the board that determines not only what our commitment statement was to the district that was just stated earlier, but also our core values of belonging, perseverance, and achievement. And how do we determine if we have met those core values? We do that really through the metrics that we develop for each of the particular groups that we're monitoring and that were mentioned in the question. If there's a gap that's identified for a particular area, then we put additional resources and or strategic direction at it so that we can close that particular gap. And we've done that in this past year for sure in terms of goals that we've added for the superintendent. And so that we continue to put that structure in place so that we can ensure that we have equitable outcomes and achievements across all of our students. Thank you.
Candidate Fairgroup. I'm sorry, Hancock.
So when we think about a pathway to excellence, we have to recognize that that looks different for different students. And providing multiple pathways and doing this, like our whole idea is that we are, as educators and parents, is that we're producing young adults who leave the nest and don't end up back in our basements, right? And so we want to provide students with multiple career exploration opportunities. I personally believe that internships should be a required thing in high school. You should have the opportunity to get out into the community and either take a dual credit class or be in some sort of vocational training program. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't also serve our college-bound students, because any career readiness skill transfers over to college readiness as well and sets them up for success post-graduation. Thank you.
Candidate Palacio, what does student discipline mean to you?
You missed somebody.
No. I went first last
Oh,
time.
I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
I almost.
Candidate Palacio, what does student discipline mean to you? What does that look like and how does it help?
This reminds me the interaction with the teachers and the students, like my son and my daughter who attend the school. Discipline means it's like a communication, co-responsibility between, if they are at the school, teachers, students, and other staff who work for the students, with the students. And I mean that way that I remember there's many things regarding how we discipline. Normally, the labels, I'm not in agreement regarding, for me, is how the student is going to be better, how the student will perform better, and with help for teachers, parents, and other people who surround the student. And discipline is co-responsibility of everyone. Thank you.
Candidate Rich.
Are we on? Not yet. Not yet. It's coming. She's gonna warm up. You want me to try this one? Okay, got it. See? That yellow one is finicky. Student discipline. What does student discipline mean to me? I believe that student discipline is accountability for our actions and for our behaviors when we're in the world, whether it be in school, whether it be as an adult. I believe it's having accountability for your actions. I believe once your actions have been recognized, it's setting up and establishing a plan for growth. What could this have looked like? What could you have done differently to maybe have responded in a manner that is more acceptable? I believe that building relationships, communicating, and collecting data is also all a part of this. Are we collecting data on when these discipline issues are happening, how we're responding to them, and whether or not that response is effective for that student? If we are seeing that it is not responsive, or the student is not responsive, not it, the student is not responsive, how are we adjusting? What are we doing differently next time when that happens? I also think that communication with parents and involving all staff members that work with those students is important.
Candidate Bell.
Yes. Oh, no. Hold on. Stand by. How about now? Yay. Okay. Here we go. What does student discipline mean to me? That is way longer a topic than a 1-minute response. So the best way I can address that is that from what I understand, that across the nation, student discipline has become one of the more hotly debated topics. We are bound by what Senate Bill 100 allows us to have as far as consequences, and it can't just be an if-then statement. If Johnny does this, then, or if anyone does this, then this is the outcome. However, in my first year with Dr. Gordon as our superintendent, he was focusing on listen, learn, returns, and one of the subject matters was student discipline and student behaviors. That is something I really want to work more with, because that's something that is very difficult for our staff and very difficult in the classroom, and it takes away from learning time. And the more we can put effort and focus on that, the better the outcomes for students will be and for staff. So I hope to do that in my next term.
Candidate Fairgrave.
From my standpoint, I would agree. Student discipline definitely is connected to accountability for each of the students, but I would also say that it is connected to intervention. And what I mean by that is, how do we provide and put the right processes in place so that actions are taken for the students before we get to a point where we have a true student discipline situation, and then Senate Bill 100 comes into play. Because the reality is that every school district in Illinois is constrained by the Senate Bill 100. So some of the things that we should, systems and supports, already be putting in place are teacher-student interactions on a more significant level, family partnerships, making sure that our student services, especially at the high schools and in the middle school as well, are very robust. We have very high ratios today related to our student services to our students. Data management, I would agree with as well, and very critical is how are we supporting our educators in terms of, do they have the training, have they been given the guidance on how they can address these situations in the classroom? Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hancock.
I think when you think about discipline, you have to ask yourself why. Why are we having the issue in the first place? And we have to remember that students are people, and they come from homes with lots of things going on. Something like 64% of adults report that they have had one adverse childhood experience. 64% is a lot. That crosses every socioeconomic group of people. And so when we ask ourselves why we're having a disciplinary issue, then we can focus on how to approach it. Because every child is going to need a different approach, and having interventions and having support people in the buildings that are available. I know for sure that we do not have enough support people to address every student who needs support at any given time. So we need to make sure that we are financially balancing our resources so that we can allocate them to support our students and what their needs are.
School up until high school is the only time in our children's lives where we need to make it safe for them to fail. And when we apply discipline to our students, we need to set clear expectations for them, for the outcomes, and for parents to understand what tools are available. We also need to do the same for our administrators and our staff. Our discipline in school needs to be consistent, needs to be right-sized, it needs to be appropriate. But it also needs to take into account the circumstances of the student. And that's been one thing that we've been trying to look at with the current discipline problems that we've had reported or other things. We actually have the superintendent looking to provide us with good data back. We have not been consistent in how we've been keeping that data. There are also policy changes that we put in place this past year with bullying and other things that include additional reporting and investigative processes.
Candidate Rich, what is your opinion of the district's current financial situation?
I think that the current board actually has done a great job trying to be responsible with our district finances. That they have done a good job of looking at different programming, making sure that we're in a position where we don't have to increase taxes, which we all appreciate, including myself. But I also have seen that we have cut some programs to do that I think are incredibly valuable to our students. And that is something that I would love to, if I am elected, dive into a little bit deeper and to look at possibly some creative ways to bring back some of the programs that I believe the students miss. Trying to partner with local businesses, trying to partner with parents. I think there's a lot of different things that they may already say, we tried that, we looked into that, but I'd really like to learn more about it. So I believe they've been very careful. I believe that they've been very diligent, but I think it's something we need to keep looking at.
Candidate Bell.
Okay. It's a constant battle with this one. What do I think about the finances in our district is a really great question. One of the great things that I think our board has done has been reviewing each and every department, all of the finances, the entire budget, top to bottom, and that has been a very eye-opening experience for myself as a board member, and I think it's been one of the more transparent processes that I can recall in the district. And I have really appreciated seeing that. That gives us so much more clarity on what kinds of things can we implement, what kind of room do we have, is there anything that is, necessarily able to be trimmed, or do we need to spend more here? We're getting so much more clarity so we can actually make those decisions. I think we're in a very solid, positive situation financially. However, you never know what's around the corner. You don't know what's going to happen with funding, and it's a process that you have to consistently monitor.
Candidate Fairgrave.
Thank you. From my standpoint, I think the financial situation of our district is very positive. For the last 2 cycles, and really the first time in my experience, we focused as a board on ensuring that we were operating within a balanced budget. I think that's very important for the long-term health of our district. Secondly, we instituted within the last year a deep dive into all of our department budgets. And we asked the administration to really take a look at where would there be opportunities that we could be more creative and do cost saving. We'll continue to do that again this year, and I would hope and anticipate that it continues to be something that's done as part of our regular course over the long term. And finally, we negotiated in the last year 3 successful new association contracts. We were able to do that with adding additional resources and programs for our students. One of those being we have department chairs now at the high school level, part of our high school renewal program, and adding additional expertise in core subject areas. Thank you.
Candidate Hancock.
The current board has spent a lot of time and energy putting the district in a good financial position. I think that that's been a very obvious focus of this board, and so I have no issue with that. I do think that we are right about to face some funding issues federally. Fortunately, we don't get a whole lot of funding from federal government, but we're probably going to face some changes there with what we do. And unfortunately, that does serve our most underserved population. And so we're going to have to be very strategic about what we do and how do we compensate for any lost funding in that way. So one thing I think we could do is just to be a little bit wiser about collaborating with other intergovernment departments, and so perhaps sharing a grant writer with Park District or another one of our taxing entities would be a good way to find more funding to still offer the programs that kids love and want to have as part of their school day.
Thank you. Candidate Lentz.
As the co-chair of business services, I certainly appreciate the feedback from everybody about how great our finances are doing. We are going to face some challenges over the next couple of years. We did issue bonds. We do have unused construction funds that are there. We are short classrooms at the middle school level. Do we expand? What do we do? We have a language program. We're going to hear back from administration towards the end of February about what we're going to be doing, what they're going to be recommending for us for the multilingual learners. That recommendation is also probably going to come back with what do we need to do for our facilities with Richmond and Davis. We have a mobile. I would like to have all the mobiles completely gone from our things. We might have to use it for one more year. So we have to look at that. Additionally, we heard, hey, there might be some changes at the federal level. We do spend a lot of money for free and reduced. It's not a huge portion of our budget, but there might be some impacts there as well. So,
thank you. Candidate Palacio.
I echo the rest. The board did, for the most part, did a good job, according to my opinion. And however, always need improvement, because anything that is done doesn't mean it's just done deal or 100%. Meaning, when we are going to see, for me, any contract, any agreements, anything need to be directly. If we going to give something, we need to have something in return. Meaning the student's grade has to be higher and higher. Even I can compare Peyton High School, number like 1 in the state and 5 in the whole nation. It's an example. And how much money do you spend per student? And what we want is to concentrate in anything that we do financially has to be directly connected with the students getting up their grades. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bell. With demands from our federal government to have ICE raids in schools, what is your stance on protecting our immigrant school body from any ICE raids that may happen?
Am I on? Okay. I recently attended a training, so I am aware of what the actual laws are and how we can successfully protect our students. I have a very firm stance on our responsibility to our students is to educate them. That's our responsibility by law. And we have to follow all the laws that are laid out for us. So I know, for instance, that an ICE agent can't just walk in the front door and go down to a classroom. That's not the way it is allowed to happen, and the way our safety systems are set up, that wouldn't be viable physically anyway. So where do I stand on that? It's not a situation that should be going on in our classroom. This is something that we have to follow strictly the way the laws provide. And I know that an ICE agent isn't allowed just to walk into the classroom without any kind of judicial warrant.
Thank you. Candidate Fairgrieve.
To Mrs. Bell's point, as a board and as a school district, our obligation first and foremost is to ensure that every student that we have responsibility for, that is within our boundaries, that they receive an education. And so with that said, we absolutely, as a district, would support all of the legal requirements. We would not support individuals of ICE coming into a school to disrupt the learning for all of the students. So that is not something that we would or should, in my view, support as a board. We would follow whatever legal requirements are available, but again, from the school board standpoint, our role is to ensure that every student has access and has the right to the education.
Thank you. Candidate Hancock.
Dr. Gordon put out an email last week when this was happening, explaining exactly what the protocol is and what safeties are in place so that there isn't an ICE agent walking through the hallways. So obviously, that's what the district is going to do. It's going to protect our students. But that doesn't take away the fear of those students, what they're living with, and their families. And so I think having an approach, a unified approach to how are we going to handle that fear? How are we going to help those students so that when they are in school, their anxiety is not up here? Because if you are worried about your family being disbanded you are not focusing on reading and math. It's impossible. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand, certainly to protect them according to the law, but also to treat the human element of what's happening and the threat that exists.
Candidate Lenz.
Yes, the district won't allow ICE agents into the school unless they have a proper judicial warrant. We have the administration has put out policies and procedures that goes for our buildings as well as our transportation. As far as that, we do have a requirement to serve everybody who is in our district. Again, we cannot check people's legal status. We can't check, certain residency, other things like that. So if people, I think Dr. Gordon put it very well. We would prefer students in class and learning. If there are other things that will help, we are giving a welcoming environment for our schools.
Candidate Palacio.
I will echo the rest as we follow the law compassionately, and our role as a board member is education, meaning we need to concentrate on education. We are not legislators. We are going to continue providing all the services to students who come to D303 and follow the law and support the students and families. Communication is very important. I echo the others. And I firmly believe, as an immigrant myself, I think it's touched deeply to my heart, that one. And thank you.
Candidate Rich.
Working? Yeah, magic. I believe that everybody should feel safe and comfortable when they are in our schools. And I believe that staff members, I believe that that's students. I think even for staff, the thought of that being something that would happen during the school day would make them feel uncomfortable and nervous about being in school with students. As everyone else has already mentioned, there's legalities to it, and that's something we would rely on legal teams for. The advice of Dr. Gordon, and I think his email was very clear. That did come out earlier this week. I think the thought of a student being removed from a classroom setting and in that way would be traumatic not only to them but to their classmates. I think that would be disruptive not even during the moment that it was happening, but in the following weeks, days, even months, wondering about that student's safety, if that student is okay, where their friend and where their peer is. So I do not support that happening in the schools, and I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Fairgrieve, what is your opinion on class size at the elementary level, and how will you adjust sizes to meet the behavioral challenges our teachers are facing?
Well, as I'm sure everyone is aware, we went through a boundary exercise within the last 2 years, and the focus of that really was to provide was twofold. It was to incorporate demographic data and projections for the next 10 years so that we could position ourselves as a district into a more proactive stance versus reactive, which we had been functioning under for several years prior. And then also it was to alleviate and provide a release valve for some of our schools that were just well over capacity, 125% plus and so forth. Now we're at the point, though, where we need to address where we have these individual situations, and we have processes in place to do that. We have not had to cap and send students. We have mechanisms in place where if we need to open up another section and add an instructor and educator, we will do that. In cases where we do have behavioral issues in certain classes or educational needs, I would support that we should continue providing additional resources for those educators in the classroom to provide individual attention to those students.
Thank you. Candidate Hancock.
I'll echo that. I mean, I lived through the boundary changes with my own children, our school being separated, so there was an intention to balance class sizes. And, you know, in a perfect world, would our class sizes be where they are right now for elementary? Maybe not. Probably be lower, right? It'd probably be much more effective and easier to manage. But there is a financial piece to that. And so we have to balance that. And to kind of echo what Fairgrieve said here is that when you have behavioral issues, regardless of class size, you need extra bodies, right? So you need support systems in place, and we talked about that in an earlier question, but now that we have the schools mostly balanced, now it's about allocating resources so that we can support the existing classes in the size and whatever behavioral issues are there. And maybe not even behavioral issues, but educational issues, right? So you've got students who need extra supports, and so we should have those people available for them.
Thank you. Candidate Muntz.
At our elementary level, we're about 17 students to 1 teacher is our ratio. That's one of the better ratios in the state and our comparable districts. This past year, we obviously went through the redistricting process to rebalance things. One of the things that we did concurrently with the redistricting was we had administration come up with a staffing level per building. What that means is we asked them to look at our 504 students, our special needs, other attributes of our students in order to produce a staffing model that our budget can support and that provides staff and teachers what they need to support the classrooms. That potentially also includes, for behavioral issues, hiring assistant principals at the elementary level as well. So this is an area that we are continually looking at, and now because we have foresight and planning, we have a 5-year budget, administration can plan these new hires, put them into place, and we can staff our buildings appropriately.
Thank you. Candidate Palacios.
Can you repeat the question?
What is your opinion on class sizes at the elementary level, and how will you adjust sizes to meet the behavioral challenges our teachers are facing?
As I heard, elementary and high school, especially my children are one in elementary, the other in high school, is that, for instance, like new immigrants and different nationalities, different languages, and different levels of education. And when they come here, and they need more support, more people to work, and if one person is working regarding the language, the content, and any other things, it's difficult to learn when they got multiple tasks. They need more support in order to satisfy, meaning the need of these students. And also, what we need is to increase more, like the allocation of money needed to be increased in the, like special education, newly immigrants, and any other groups and departments where it's needed. Thank you.
Candidate Rich.
Working. There we go. I think that we need to, one, be able to balance the financial side of it with the teacher's ability to be effective in the classroom. As someone who just left elementary school education, and I'm currently subbing across the district, I'm not seeing that it's 17 to 1. I'm seeing that it's closer to like 25, but that might be including maybe if you're including the specials teachers, like maybe all adults in the building and dividing it up, but and no offense, but just like my current experience is that it's closer to 25, and I think depending upon the class, that's manageable. Sometimes it's not. It really depends upon who you have and what their needs are. I think making sure we have qualified support for teachers that are above that. It has been historically very difficult to find support staff who are actually able to help with those small groups of students, and also utilizing our reading and math specialists to help pull some of those students out of the room who are at a higher level or at a lower level and maybe need some of that extra support could help alleviate those larger class sizes.
Thank you. Candidate Bell.
Am I on? Oh, yay. Echoing a lot of the things that were said at the table, one of the things that we did when we redrew the boundaries was trying to address overcrowding or underutilization, and I feel like we righted that the best that we could. And then this current school year was about seeing how those changes were implemented, what was the effect on that, and where can we, looking at all the funding and the budget the way we did, to Mr. Less's point, what is the available space for staff in the budget? One of the things that I really want to focus on is the student behavior aspect, like I touched on it before. And you can have 17-1 or you can have 28-1, but if you have a higher intensity behavior issue, the number is not as important as what is going on with those students and how it affects those other kiddos. So if we do have flexibility in our budget, we really have to address those issues by supporting the staff and how to do it and hiring the right support staff to do that.
Thank you. We're going to move to closing statements. So we will start with candidate Hancock.
Thank you so much for your. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Okay. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I think we touched on a lot of issues. I hope that you saw in me the same thing that all three unions, D303 associations saw, that my vision for our district is in line with what our strategic plan is. And I hope that you can see that I have firsthand account that our greatest strength is the people who work in our district. And so my goal as a board member would be to support our teams in our schools, our administration at the district level as well. That I'd be a champion for career readiness for the careers that are going to be in demand when our students leave high school. My experiences, my involvement in the district, and my unwavering desire to create a path for success for every student in our district uniquely qualifies me for this position. My passion for public education and the students set me apart as well. I welcome your vote on or before April 1st. Thank you.
Candidate Hancock, did you have more to say? Because I was told it was a 2-minute closing
I thought
statement.
it was 2 minutes as well, but I will concede my time.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Candidate Lentz.
All right. Thank you again, everybody, for your attention this evening. When I joined the board a year and a half ago, we had an enrollment crisis, we had no capital planning, and we were kind of tail end of academic decline. Since joining the board, we've reopened Fox Ridge, we've repurposed Lincoln, we've reset Richmond and Davis back to our neighborhood schools and redistricted to balance our class sizes. We are now one of the only districts in the entire state of Illinois that has a 5-year budget. It was a very transparent budgeting process, I think you heard tonight, by actually having all the departments come up, justify their budget, and then talk about their goals. How can they help serve our students and our community, and do that. We're in the process right now of engaging the community and actually coming up with an implementation plan for removing cell phones from our classrooms to help keep our students' attention and make our classrooms a less disruptive place. We still have a lot more work to do to complete our academic renewal, from our curriculum updates to providing our community visibility to the different pathways that students have post-secondary. And that includes the learning up until secondary. We've worked very hard to start a long-term fiscal plan with that 5-year budget, and we need to continue to hold the administration accountable. Dr. Gordon is fantastic. He does a great job and the admin does a great job of moving towards the goals we as a board set for them. I'm seeking the community's support for a full 4-year term to continue this work. Early voting begins March 7th, and the actual election is April 1st. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Palacio, 2 minutes.
As I said at the beginning, when I came here, it was for a few reasons. One is my 2 children, also the passion for helping others, and also my education and experience. And regarding experience, my working experience working with different clienteles, like different persons with mental illness, also addictions, the developmental disabilities, and any variety of problems and issues. And also working in different groups, associations, unions within the state of Illinois, and also working one-on-one with people from different backgrounds in this state. My commitment to the students are clear. due to my education, my experience being a parent and working with many people. And also, what I would like is to ask and review my background, review all my information, and I would like to count on your vote. And thank you for coming here, and thank you everybody for inviting me.
Thank you. Candidate Rich.
Hello, there we go. I am running for the school board because I want D303 to be the envy of all public and private school systems in the state of Illinois. I also want the best teachers in the state of Illinois to fight to work here. I want to be a place the best educators, administrators, support staff want to work. I want to be a place where families are jumping on houses that are for sale because they want their children in our district. And I want to be a part of the team that is working hard to get us there. I want to be a part of that. I believe that I have a clear understanding of how school systems work. I come to the position with experience, with empathy, with a sense of humor that may or may not be welcomed. I am a problem solver. I have a history of research and data analysis in working through my doctoral degree. I love collaboration. I like talking. I like listening to the people around me. I believe in innovation. And I'm ready to give back to a community that has given an enormous amount to me and my family throughout my life. If there is something you wanted to learn more about me, I hope you'll reach out to me. We do have quite a bit of time before the election. That early voting starting March 7th, the actual election April 1st. I do want to throw out there that that's over spring break, so if you're parents, make sure you have a plan if you're going out of town. But reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you more. I'd love to learn about what you think is important, and I would like to do whatever I can to support you as community members, as parents, as staff, whatever it is that I can do. Thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Candidate Bell.
2 minutes is just not enough, and 1 minute on the initial opening statement is just not enough. So please do visit my website soon. That's almost done. Facebook page, same. Reach out to me. My number's on the website for the school board under school board. You can find that. I'm one of a school board member that I really wanted to run, and I'm happy to be part of the community. And I feel like I'm at my best when I'm serving others. I absolutely enjoy having conversations that might be difficult or with someone with a different point of view, because I might learn something and I might be able to stretch what I believe in, or maybe take something new from the conversation I had. So I believe that there's a lot of things we can do. I've done the strategic plan, I was part of that process, and I want to make sure that we are continuing to implement the things that we designed and I, as a board member, worked so hard in the last 4 years. One of the things I want to focus on is having some more supports for the staff with our student behavior issues. That's really important to me. I ran on accountability, and I feel like we've made an enormous amount of positive change in the district over the last 4 years, and I want to continue to see some of those through. I want to make sure the things that I helped to put in place not only stay in place, but actually get full implementation and rollout. I want to make sure that all the staff has the right training. 30 seconds again, I'm confused. I want to make sure that the staff has the right training for the things we're rolling out, and we're not just saying this is what we're doing now. And I want to make sure that the budgetary allocations that we've made, we're able to have new pathways or continue strengthening the pathways we do have in place. So go to my website, go to my Facebook page, or give me a call or reach out, because I really enjoy connecting with the community. And thank you so much for people watching at home and everyone taking the time to listen to the candidates. Voting is so important. My election was won by 2 votes, 1-2, so every single vote counts. Get out there and vote.
Thank you. Candidate Fairgreen.
Thank you. What I didn't have the opportunity to mention earlier is that I am the mother of 2 daughters who successfully graduated from D303, the last one in the class of 2024, and they are now each off pursuing their individual endeavors. I was very involved with activities related to the PTO and to the school from elementary all the way through high school. With that said, as I'm in the community, I have many community members ask me, why are you still running then at this point in time? And my response is always very consistent because it is bigger than what I just described to you. Education is very important to me. I have a master's in business administration. I have numerous educational certificates. I think it is very important to a community. It is very important that to have a strong community, that we also have a strong education system. So that is part of what my core beliefs are and one of the reasons that I'm running. In addition to that, I think that we have had several significant accomplishments over the last few years that this current board has achieved, and I would like to continue to be part of that and carry it forward. Some of those accomplishments specifically, and they've been mentioned, but for the first time in my tenure on the board, we have a strategic plan. We did not have that until within the last 2 years. I think that's critical. It provides guiding principles to how we're going to operate as a board and as a district. I also ensured we had a successful transition to our new superintendent, and we have made a lot of fantastic accomplishments along the way. As we're moving forward, I think that even more can be achieved. We need to close our academic gaps even more than we have already. We need to increase our academic rigor, and we need to continue operating in a balanced budget. And finally, if I am able to earn your vote, I will be the longest tenure on the board at 8 years. Why do I mention that? I think it's valuable from the standpoint that I have a demonstrated understanding of what it is to govern on a board and how that works productively with administration and community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our time is up for this forum. For more information, please visit the nonpartisan voter guide, IllinoisVoterGuide.org in March, the candidates' websites, as well as the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County website. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving the democracy we hold dear. Please remember to vote on or before April 1st, as one vote can decide the election, and that one vote could be yours. I'd like to turn it over to Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. So Jan did take a lot of the stuff that I was going to be saying, so thank you very much. I encourage you to keep asking questions, keep seeking the truth, keep connecting with our candidates to gain a clear understanding of their positions. We were not able to get to all the questions tonight, so please reach out to them. Keep asking. Your vote is your voice. And we also want to express our gratitude to the St. Charles Library for hosting, and to everyone who contributed to the success of tonight's forum, including our dedicated volunteers, our partners with the AAUW, and all of our supporters. We hope that tonight has helped you with insights necessary to make informed choices on Election Day. Thanks again for being here. Our next forum is tomorrow night at Batavia City Hall. We are hosting the candidates for Batavia City Council and mayoral races. Early voting begins March 7th. Election Day is April 1st. Travel home safely, and let's have a big round of applause for our candidates.